Thursday is the last day for comments on the Single Marriage Draft Bill of 2022, and the Department of Home Affairs has invited the public to comment on the bill. Now, government says that the bill is intended to align the three enactments regulating marriage in South Africa. And some sections of society, including civil society groupings, have raised concern over the bill. Errol Naidoo is Executive Director of the Family Policy Institute, and he joins us virtually to discuss some of the notable points that they wish to highlight on the single marriage bill. Errol, thanks so much for your time. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Errol, if we could perhaps just start by going back a bit, in terms of just reminding everybody what the purpose of the bill is and the reasons given by government for creating this new bill on marriage.
Well, government's reasoning is that they want to rationalize the three marriage bills we currently have on our statute books. That is the Marriage Act of 1961, the Recognition of Customary Marriages Act of 1998, and the Civil Union Act of 2006. They want to rationalize all three of those bills or acts and create one sort of Marriages Act that will cover all of it. They also want to strengthen the laws on child marriages, bogus marriages, and also recognize Muslim marriages because of a constitutional court ruling in 2022 where the court instructed government to recognize these marriages and protect women in those marriages. So that's the rationale behind it. One can understand that, it sounds reasonable, but when you look at the bill, you cannot understand what government is doing here. Firstly, the one thing that is of great concern, especially to the religious community in South Africa, is that this bill is going to redefine marriage between a man and a woman. And it's not necessary to do that. And what government is doing here, in actual fact, is stripping men and women of the unique legal distinction of marriage with monogamous heterosexual marriage. They're taking that away completely. So monogamous marriage will now mean, in the new bill, in the new act that they're proposing, will now mean marriage is a union between a man and a woman, a man and a man, a woman and a woman, and transgender individuals. So the law or the definition or distinction of marriage as a union between, exclusive union between a man and woman, that is going to be abolished in this new act. Secondly, there is no protection for religious marriage officers in the bill. There's nothing that gives them religious exemption as regarding their religious beliefs. What this means then, because now we have three acts and civil unions are recognized and regulated under Civil Union Act, but religious marriage officers are not required to or not compelled by law to marry same-sex couples because they object to that. But when you abolish these three acts we currently have and make one single marriage act, religious marriage officers, churches, Christian wedding chapels, Christian businesses will all now be liable to participate in same-sex unions and transgender unions. And if they refuse on conscientious grounds, they can be sued. So I believe there's going to be an explosion of litigation against Christian churches, religious marriage officers, and such because of this new bill. Thirdly, we're concerned about the fact that in the polygamous marriage provisions in the new act, the proposed new Single Marriage Act, there is no legal distinction between man and woman or husband and wife in the bill. So the bill is gender neutral. And of course, this opens all kinds of problems because in the polygamous marriage provision, a male can get married to several females. But a female can also get married to several males or could get married to two males and three females. That's group marriage, which is polyamory, which is kind of popular in Western Europe. And now this bill is going to make it possible for group marriage because of the gender neutrality of the bill. And so we ask the question, why is the bill gender neutral? Because there are two genders, male and female. Why is government stripping men and women? The majority of South Africans get married as men and women. Why are they taking that legal distinction away from them to please a minority group? It makes no sense. So for us, for me, this is like an apartheid law, where government is passing a bill that is going to please and give a minority group what they want and take away from the majority, strip them of their rights and their legal definition of marriage.
I need to understand that better, Errol. When you say government will be stripping the majority of their rights, how does it do that? Is this not just meant to be more inclusive and aligned with the constitution of the country that basically makes sure and engenders that everybody is equal before the country's constitution?
We currently have that on our statute books, and that's what the Constitutional Court ruling in 2005 was about. There was a challenge against the fact that people of same sex cannot get married. And it asked government to correct that. And government came up with formulated the Civil Union Act. And the Civil Union Act is for same-sex and opposite-sex couples. So that's why we have three marriage acts on our books, because you have the Marriage Act of 1961, in which men and women can get married under that act. And they have this exclusive legal definition of marriage, which is a union between a man and a woman. That's what the majority of South Africans believe. Then you have polygamous marriages, and government had to pass a law to recognize polygamous marriages, and that can apply to anybody in their religion or tradition or culture. If they have several wives, the Customary Marriages Act recognizes that and regulates that. And then the Civil Union Act recognizes and regulates same-sex unions. Now, LGBT people enjoy all the benefits and all the rights and privileges of marriage under the Civil Union Act. So there is nothing in our current marriage laws that is excluding people, that's discriminating against anybody. The reason government is doing this is because they've been pressurized from external organizations, from United Nations agencies, from global LGBT groups. They don't want a separate law recognizing their unions. They want government to amend the Marriage Act. They wanted government to amend the Marriage Act so that the terms husband and wife, man and woman is removed and spouses are inserted. So different genders and LGBT people, transgender people can all get married under this act. But what happens then is you remove the legal distinction of marriage between a man and a woman. So monogamous heterosexual marriage is abolished in South African law. It ceases to exist.
But how is it abolished, Errol? Because you would still be able, a man can still get married to a woman. So how does this abolish that? Because
there is no legal distinction that monogamous heterosexual marriage is a union between a man and a woman. In the new bill, monogamous marriage would now mean union between a man and a woman, two men, two women, and transgender individuals. So there no longer exists a distinction, a legal distinction that marriage is a union between a man and a woman. That is going to be abolished.
I really don't understand that, because if I decide, along with my heterosexual partner, that we are getting married and we are not going to be polygamous or polyamorous or anything else in that marriage, will we not be catered for under this bill?
No, you can get married under the Single Marriage Act, a man and a woman. But your definition, your legal definition in law is not what is marriage. If anybody asks what is marriage, marriage is not a union between a man and a woman as far as this new act is concerned. Marriage is the union between a man and a man, a woman and a man, a woman and a woman, and transgender individuals. So the legal distinction of marriage that stood for thousands of years, people always understood what marriage was, that marriage is a union between a man and a woman so they can found a family, and the family is the building block of society. So government is taking that legal definition away, so it no longer exists. So if you ask, after this bill is enacted, if you ask what is marriage, well, marriage is a union between a man and a woman, a man and a man, a woman and a woman, and transgender individuals. But that is not marriage. Do you understand? So there's one act.
It's not marriage according to whom, though, because if two people decide to get married, and if a third person decides they want to, join in that union, and a fourth and a fifth and however many, does that really matter? Because, again, our constitution in South Africa says that we are all equal and enjoins the same privileges to each and every one of us, regardless of race, gender, or any other issues that we may find reason to discriminate on. So is this not one of them, whereby the bill is simply aligning with the constitution that says you can marry whoever you want?
Yeah, but that's not my argument. That's not my argument that people cannot marry who they want, right? So it's a secular government. We as Christians, we have a Christian belief and biblical worldview that marriage is between a man and a woman. Other religions believe as well that marriage is a union between a man and a woman for the purpose of founding a family. So that is our belief. However, we have a constitution. The Bill of Rights says that you cannot discriminate against people on the basis of race and sex and gender and sexual orientation, all those things. So fine, we have that. However, we're not taking away from anybody's rights. We have 3 acts on our statute books that recognize different people's marriage formulas, right? In 2005, when the court ruled that government had to create a law to recognize same-sex unions, that's what government did. The church leadership got together under the Marriage Alliance and said, we want to protect marriage as a union between a man and a woman. So don't amend the Marriage Act, right? Create a separate law. And that's what government did, a Civil Union Act for same-sex and opposite sex. So it recognized their marriages. It gave LGBT people all the rights and privileges of marriage. So nobody's excluded here. So we taking care of everybody. We're catering for everybody's marriage formula, including polygamous marriages.
So who's going to be discriminated against under the new bill? Whose marriage will not be recognized?
Well, not recognized, but the legal definition. The legal definition of what marriage is. So currently, you can understand the Marriage Act that's currently in force now, the Marriage Act of 1961, is marriage between a man and a woman. It recognized husband and wife. So that is what marriage is. This is what the vast majority of South Africans recognize as marriage. Now, government is going to take that legal definition away, that marriage no longer is the union between a man and a woman, husband and wife. Even those terms, husband and wife, is going to be abolished. Man and woman is going to be abolished. It's going to be spouse. It's gender neutral. So which means that man and woman, man and man, woman and woman, and transgender individuals, all of that legally then is declared marriage. But then we don't have the unique distinction of marriage between a man and a woman. Monogamous,
but why do you need a unique distinction, Errol? Because if you are heterosexual, you will decide on who you marry, and that will be recognized. So does it really matter? The fact that the bill is written in a manner that is gender neutral. Does that really change anything?
It does, because definitions matter a lot. It really matters, especially for the next generation, their understanding of what male and female is, their understanding of what marriage is traditionally. All of those definitions matter. And so that's why this is important, because marriage existed for thousands of years. It served countless nationalities and cultures. South Africa is actually the only country in the world of 193 nations, the only country that is removing the definition of marriage, heterosexual monogamous marriages. Same-sex marriage or same-sex unions is recognized by only 34 nations in the world. It's only been in existence for 22 years, right? Government is taking away this legal definition of marriage, this legal distinction of marriage between a man and a woman that's an exclusive union. They're taking it away to please LGBT people, right? That's been only in existence for 22 years, this union.
Is that really what it's about, Errol? Because
yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Would it be fair to say, therefore, that you are trying to protect the for lack of a better term, you're trying to protect what was historically termed as, the norm of marriage, as you point out, a marriage between a man and a woman. But why do we need to fret about this? Because if you teach your children that, this is what marriage is about, and someone else believes something different and they teach their children that, why does it really matter, as long as everybody is understood to understand what they are trying to be, what they accept? The Constitution is there to protect everybody, including and perhaps especially minorities.
Yeah, I think what you just said there, I want to agree with, that the Constitution must protect everybody. It must not take away the rights from one group of people to give to another. That's what apartheid laws was all about. And legal definitions and distinctions are very important. In the apartheid era,
Errol?
black people were defined as third-rate citizens, as non-persons.
Errol,
So that definition is very important, yes?
we're going to have to leave it there, unfortunately.